Hi, Martin from Glens here, out on this gorgeous summer's day in the west of Scotland. I'm not out on a solo trip today, I've actually got some pals with me. As they just slide in the shot very gracefully there. Colin and Skye from Swamp Valley, good pals of mine. We're out having a great time out in Argyll in Scotland. It's a beautiful day and we've got loads of stuff planned to do over the next 3 or 4 days we're going to be staying here.
Our roping canoes packed, we paddled into the sea to find the perfect camping spot to base our adventure for the next 4 days. And boy did we find a spot. These 4 days were packed with bushcraft, carving, foraging, fishing, diving and lots of fun times around camp. So here's just a little taste of what's to come. I carve a Kuksa from Spalted Hazel.
Nice little controlled shavings off. That green. Is that not something else?
Skye and myself are both keen surfers and divers, so we couldn't resist the call of the water.
So hopefully we'll have a seafood meal for dinner, so let's go underwater foraging.
The sea is brimming with life, and there are interesting things to see everywhere. I harvest edible seaweeds, brown crab and shellfish to make a delicious and nutritious dinner.
Now this is sweet oarweed, Laminaria saccharina. I've taken the claws and the legs. There goes the crab. Ooh, looks like a dream. That is delicious.
But that's not the only amazing scran we had on this trip. We treated ourselves very well with 3 delicious, freshly prepared meals each day.
No, these are fantastic.
Including old-fashioned pancakes, homemade pizzas in Skye's improvised pizza oven.
I'm not putting it back in.
And if that wasn't good enough, we also had Potatoe Gallette and roasted pork belly ribs, all cooked over the fire in our cast iron cookware.
Look at that, lads.
Not forgetting the hearty breakfast and lunches we had in between. We certainly weren't starving on this trip.
I wouldn't normally bring this, but since I've got these 2 axes to play with today, and bow saws and obviously, fixed blade saws like this.
I test out some axes and the Silky Katana 500 by making a bushcraft chair.
So here comes the fun bit.
I give you a rundown of my expedition first aid kit.
Cavity that holds all your organs. Very, very disappointed.
I am forced to repair my very expensive sleeping mat due to failure.
Well, so far so good.
And of course we have our fair share of campsite shenanigans and adventures. So join us on this journey for all this and more.
This video is absolutely chock full of amazing content. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
I met with the lads near Loch Lomond before heading northwest to our chosen destination. After a long but spectacular drive, we reached our put-in point near this little harbour. We set off in high spirits as we had been looking forward to this trip for months. A little bit of rain and chop on the sea made us glad we had dry bagged all of our gear, but boy was it a stunning paddle. Safely made it across the larger expanses of water and found the perfect spot to camp at the end of an inlet between an island and a long narrow peninsula. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to film setting up camp as it was raining and it needed to be done quick. But I did have time for a quick tour of camp before the sun went down. Dr. Bravestone, thank goodness you're here. Welcome to Jumanji. We need your help, brave warrior. Gather your supplies from camp before your adventure begins. Good luck on your quest, brave warriors. It had been a long day, and so after a quick dinner and a catch-up around the fire, we retired to our beds for the night, dreaming of tomorrow's adventures.
So it's breakfast time and we are definitely not slumming it this time. We've got everything under the sun to make us as comfortable as possible. Colin, oh yeah, except the sun right now. Scotland is being Scotland and it is peeing down, but we're happy because we've got a mountain of tarps above us and hopefully we're about to have a very, very nice breakfast. So we've taken it upon ourselves to cook one meal each per day, and Colin is the master fryer this morning and he has got what is called a mountain man breakfast on.
I've kind of added to it, so I took the inspiration from the mountain man breakfast, but I've added in some kind of Scottish variants. So the bottom of the pan we've got a line on a bacon, so we've got the bacon going through, then inside we have some potato scones, fried, broken up to go in. Then on top of that we've got some Lorne sliced sausage with black pudding, eggs and some fried onions. And then everyone's favourite, a bit of cheese just to melt everything all together.
I don't think there's any doubt this is going to be very, very tasty. And that Dutch oven to me is just so cute, I love it. It's slightly impractical for mostly big meals, but for this it looks like it was made for the job.
There we go.
It's the beauty of the cast iron, you can just chuck it straight in the embers. So we're fairly certain that the mountain man breakfast is well done. So we're going to take it off and see what's under that lid, because if it smells anything to go by, it's going to be good. Oh, look at that!
It smells amazing.
Look at that! Deliciousness and potential heart attack all in one.
That's how we roll.
Always trust a fat survivalist.
I'm just looking for a fight. Just cut it into quarters.
That is ridiculous, lads.
Just mushy deliciousness, man. Oh, okay.
Are you dry there?
Yeah, just right. More solid or?
And do you want
No,
some brown?
I think. No, I'm fine. That'll smash me.
After breakfast, I had a little explore of the surrounding woodland, looking for a suitable piece of wood to do some carving. There are some really nice hazels in these woods, and I found one with a dead branch that I could remove guilt-free as I wasn't damaging the tree at all. You can see it's dead all the way in there. I have my new Silky Katana 500 with me, and it makes short work of cutting this branch off.
You see it's already partially rotted already. In fact, those lines are spalting lines, which will look extremely good in my finished product. This was the right one to choose. Let's get it limbed up. So that hazel worked out really well. It's got some nice spalting in it. That entire branch was dead, so this is going to be hard to carve, but it'll not have the same issues with drying and splitting that fresh wood would have. So I'm going to split these. Now today I'm quite spoiled because I've got 3 different axes. I knew the guys here were going to bring their own axes, so I have brought my carving axe, which is obviously great for carving and small splitting, but it's no good for, you know, splitting down big logs for firewood and things. So I wouldn't normally bring this, but since I've got these 2 axes to play with today, the lads have very kindly allowed me to have a shot at them, I can experiment with the different axes and hopefully split these things out a bit easier than if I just had the carving axe there. So it's quite interesting. We've got the wilderness axe, Raymere's wilderness axe, which is definitely on the splitting side of large, you know, sort of chopping axes. I mean, you would be knackered if you were carving with this for any more than two or three minutes. And we've got Skye's Hultifer's chopping axe, which he's put a much better edge on, and it's a lot lighter and probably I would say a little bit more useful than this. But if you want to know any more details about that, Skye's got a really good video on sort of, you know, like a review of the wilderness axe, so you can go and have a little look at that. But what it will be good for is splitting down these logs into smaller bits so I can get my carving tools onto them, because they're a bit too big right now. And those of you who know your carving, we don't want the pith in this, so I'm going to have to split this out. So hopefully these axes will make it a bit easier. I've also made a little mallet just to help things along a little bit. I can be a bit more precise rather than swinging with the axe. I can put the axe on it and I can hit it with the mallet, so I can be a bit more precise, because I don't want to waste this wood because it's really nice. And I'm hopefully going to use the little bit of spalting that's on the end of this to carve a little mini Kuksa. Skye's got a little tiny mini Kuksa, and it's almost like a shot glass. It's really cool, so I thought maybe I would carve one of them to just to use around here, but also to sort of commemorate the trip, you know. So let's split these down. So I'm going to start off with the Kuksa one. So let's have a go with this Ramir's Wilderness Axe. Try and decide where I'm going to make the little cup. I think I kind of want to do it almost short and sort of squat and wide almost. Yeah, I might do that, because that's going to be quite nice. So I'll just place the axe over here. I guess you're probably not going to get the benefit of the weight of this axe because I'm going to use the mallet. You can hear it starting to split nicely. There it goes. Lovely. There we go. So my idea is to carve this long, so I can use this to hold on to it, and I can use the axe safely at the base, carve the basic shape, and then separate it with the saw, and then do the fine carving later on when I don't have to use the axe. It's just a nice safe way of doing that kind of carving. So that's good. So as a wedge, Ramir's Wilderness Axe worked pretty well. I did use the Ramir's axe and the hilt of his axe to carve that mallet, and I mean the difference in weight is crazy. This thing feels like you're swinging a splitting maul, but the Halterfors, although it's got a longer handle which kind of gets in the way, it's a lot lighter, a lot easier to use.
And now I need a carving block, and the Katana 500 takes care of this with ease.
Just like that.
Lovely. I'll do nicely. I was going to trim off the cut marks, but I may not even need it. They might serve as a nice little backstop for the carving, you know.
Aye. I'm never that fussy usually. I carve on something like that, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just again. It's
I guess I don't usually have a saw that can cut that much wood.
Exactly.
So.
This thing just makes these kind of things possible.
I know, it really opens up options, doesn't it?
So I've got my nice little comfy carving position here now. That lovely piece of oak that I split, that's going to be my carving block. So I can just sit here nice and comfortable under the tarp, got the view, got the fire, lovely little place to do some carving. I've got my little carving kit here. It's just got my scorp, my turning sloyd, and my Mora 106. And so I'm kind of in the mood for doing my little Kuksa first, so I'm just going to crack on with that. See anything nice?
To be honest, it's just such a beautiful place, man. It's really firmed up down there, so that's nice when you're walking.
Oh, has it?
So squidgy it was, aye.
Ah, good.
I'll get my fishing stuff set up for boat fishing then.
No, I want to come with you, so maybe I should give this a. I should put this on hold.
What are you actually making?
I'm going to make my my little
Nice stick.
pointy stick for the vampires. No, I'm thinking about making a little Kuksa. But I'm going to leave the handle long so I can work on it with the axe safely.
Right, aye.
Carve most of it and then separate it and do the fine carving afterwards once it's finished. So it's only going to, I'm only going to use like this much.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and utilise as much of this.
As a sort of
nice
guide.
stuff. No, I'll just make it up as I go along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wing it.
Yep.
It's almost like a throwing axe, isn't it? Well,
I think it would be amazing as a throwing axe, but it's
nice. It's actually, it's heavier than I thought it was going to be, I suppose, because it's metal.
All steel there, yeah.
It's solid, yeah.
It's lovely, man. It's even... Is that wood, eh? What is that?
Micarta. So it's layers of canvas set in resin. So it's like, it kind of feels like wood, it's got a little bit of grain, but it's more tough.
Unbreakable.
Yeah. Doesn't absorb any water, and they've shot blasted it as well, like the handle, so it feels a bit more grippy.
It looks really stunning, actually.
It's nice to use. I mean, for heavy stock removal, I don't know. I don't think it's very good. But for like planing stuff and for carving, it's an absolute dream. You know, nicely weighted. It's a little bit heavier than a normal carving axe, but see, because it's balanced quite well at that position, you don't really need to swing it.
Yeah.
It's just the weight of the axe that does the work.
It just looks cool as well.
It does look cool. That big sweep is really nice. Isn't it?
It looks cool, man.
It's got sexy lines.
It does. It takes a hell of an edge as well. I'll give Ben that. The edge it takes is really nice. So the chaps have been away for a little canoe, so left me a bit of piece to get on my carving. So you can see what I've done so far. I've literally just roughed out the shape. Looking at the handle going here, a little bit of a lower bit for the handle here, and this is going to be the bowl. So I'm going to shape as much as I can before I take it off of this handle, because it's quite handy to hold on to. It keeps my hand out of the way of the very sharp axe. It really saves you a lot of work using the axe over the knife. So you want to try and do as much as you can before switching over to the knife. I've not had a real proper shot of this. I've only made a couple of spoons with it. I'm loving the shape of this Scandinavian, Ben offered Scandinavian axe, because this really wide sweep, it kind of like slices into the wood, so you don't have to put so much effort into it. And this really fine tip is great for getting in these little awkward spaces. Stop cutting there. Kind of see what I'm going for here. One of the nice things about cutting this sort of handle shape first is you can sit it on the side of your block, and then you can get a really nice position for, you know, coming in at these sort of angles and to take the back edge off of the bowl there, which would be awkward if you were just on a flat surface with no edge. But I can do the finer work on the handle after I have finished more work on the bowl, because it's the bit that could snap if I overdo it with the axe, so I'm going to be pretty careful with that if I can. But I can round off the end of the bowl. Of course, it's going to be a Kuksa, so I need the bottom bit to be flat. So I don't want to take too much more out of this other than just to make sure it's flat, so it can sit on a surface. I'll do the fine adjustments with the knife. You see that lovely spalting there, sort of poking through. Swap this around, use that little edge that I left on to stop that from sliding. You know, I really hope I can show you this on camera. It's very difficult with the one I've got with me, but one of the things I really like about these Scandinavian type carving axes, or a lot of carving axes have big sweeps like this, but particularly the Scandinavian ones, you can do this sort of guillotine move where you come down and as you roll this very long edge, you can take nice little controlled shavings off, but you can put a lot of power into it because the base is already, you know, the blade is already on chopping block, so you can't slip anywhere, so you can make a really controlled increase in power and get in and make a really nice job of these edge, you know, these little bits where you can get to with that technique. And I really like doing that with this axe. And actually I even like planing with it, so you know, if you've got something that's fixed, you can push into it like this, or even if it's unfixed, to be honest, you could probably just do it with one hand, but obviously there's a more of a safety issue there. But I really like doing the, you know, once I've done the rough shaping, you know, doing a bit more of the finer shaping with the sort of rocking technique. I've always called it a guillotine cut, but maybe it's something else. I'm not entirely sure. If you know, let me know in the comments. But you can see it's very effective, very controlled, which I like a lot. Safety first with axes. You know, axes can sometimes just make wilderness trips possible, but they can also ruin wilderness trips because you end up hurting yourself and then you have to go home early. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to lose a finger or get a big gash, you know, from a little slip. You know, you saw me slip there, but it's quite easy to slip in a big way and really do yourself an injury. So it's very important to have a full first aid kit with you. In case you didn't know that, I've got a full, basically ballistic trauma first aid kit, as well as my little sort of kit that I use just for day-to-day scrapes and cuts and burns and things like that. Thankfully I don't use it very often, but it's nice to have it. You know that if something does happen, you've got the power to, or at least the knowledge and the materials to make a big difference. So see, this is one of the good things about having this long handle still attached, because I can actually put my weight on this on my knee. You can see here, hold that down, and then I can use two hands on the axe. And again, I have to be very controlled with it. But I can shave like this downwards into the, you know, with the grain, make nice little neat shavings there, and I can plane. I call this, again, I call this a planing cut, but yeah, others might call it something different. But again, something that's very good with this axe, because of the heavy curve, there's only really a small amount in contact with things, so it's not the whole thing, so it's very easy to make a nice little shave, and obviously by changing the angle you can get more or less of the blade into the cut. That guillotine cut coming in handy again. So I'm going to crack on with this for a little while, do a wee bit more shaving, and then I'll come back to you when we're going to do the bowl. Well, I think that's roughly roughed out enough, so I'm just going to start scooping this out while I've still got this handle to hold on to, because that's a really nice thing to brace against, to then use the scorp to hollow out. So I'll get my nice little scorp out here by Gary Hackett. Nice little scorp, a nice little box sheath. And I know, because this is dead, this is going to be hard work. I mean, this thing's like a razor, but this dead hazel is very hard, and this is going to take a bit of doing. So.
What's the guy that does all the ice, like serrano things?
That's the guy with no fingers. He cut his fingers off.
Oh yeah, because he had frostbite.
He was in the SAS, he was talking about
That is some level of hardcore sort of mental fortitude, isn't it?
He just didn't like the way he looked. He just didn't like the way they looked, so I just got them in a vice and got a hacksaw and took them off, because he was home. It wasn't out in the middle of the ocean. So a little sit rep on how the Kuksa's coming. It's looking pretty good. You can see that. Sorry about the light in here. It's because the tarps are there. It's making this area really dark and this area really light. So I've hauled out quite a bit, and this is getting to the point now where I need to start being careful about what's left in between the base and the bottom of the cup. So now that the rough shaping's done, I'm just going to start being really careful and just taking it down nice and smoothly, nice and carefully. Make sure I'm not leaving any big divots in that I need to correct. And really at this point I could probably sever the handle and just do everything that's small without having this extended bit, but it is still quite nice to have this bit to sort of steady against my chest, you know, against my knee, against the chopping block as well. So maybe I'll keep it on for another little while, but yeah, maybe another 10 minutes of shaping in there, and then I'll take off the handle and start the final sort of shaping and finishing cuts. So yeah, so I think I've pretty much finished the hollowing here. So I'm going to separate the Kuksa from the from this obviously bit I'm not going to use. And then I'm going to start using my carving knife to shape the handle and the outside of the bowl, get it a bit more refined. And I don't know, we're getting there pretty quickly. I'm quite happy how this is going. The question is, should I leave the handle long or just have a little short one?
When you guys were all sleeping, I was just sitting here like listening to the sweet sound of nature.
Cheers, bro.
Thank you.
Always the question for me, should you leave the handle long and stable so you can sit it flat and it stays on its own, or take it off till it's light enough that it can stand just on the bowl? Tricky one. I think I'll take the handle off, make it a nice little neat thing. Why force my knife through it when I can use my axe? And make things new.
I didn't actually realise you were still filming there.
Sorry?
I was like chatting away, I was like, oh no.
Did you realise I can just cut the audio out completely?
Well, I know, but
In the editing
easier
process.
to have options, isn't it? It was funny. I think that was the highlight of the night.
As I carved away, Skye used his pie iron to make some tasty little cheese and ham toasties, which really hit the spot.
Right, Colin, you were like, aye.
After lunch I headed to my tent to fix a faulty element of my sleeping system.
So I've just remembered that I've got something to remedy from last night. I slept in a tent last night, which is something I don't do very often unless it's the Lavu. I was very excited to bring this because I was going to be able to use my extra thick Exped Down mat, you know, the 100mm one, which is really, really comfortable. And I'm super excited to use it, looking forward to a really comfortable night's sleep. But as I was getting in, I was swatting a couple of mosquitoes before, after I zipped everything up, the Exped mat then started to leak. And it must have been when I was slapping around trying to kill the mosquitoes, because it was holding its air, for the whole night until then. So I'm not really sure what that says for the quality of the down mats. I always thought that because they've got a good reputation and certainly the price tag's pretty steep, that they would be pretty bomb-proof, but I'm not impressed by this. Anyway, I could set up my hammock, but I'm going to try and fix this mat first before we go down that route, because I would still like to use it, and it was very comfortable until it broke, because I got to try it when I set it up. So let's go in and have a little look at this thing and see what's what, because I've obviously with the better airbeds, they come with a little kit to fix them. So I'm hoping I can use that to seal this up. And it's basically a break between, on one of the seams, it's not a hole. So I should be able to just glue it and clamp it, and then hopefully, a matter of minutes, maybe hours, it'll be ready to sleep on. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is reasonably spacious. One-man tent. Take this open. This is the Zephyros 2 from the Wild Country by Canoe. So here is the down mat. And this was not a cheap down mat, not a cheap airbed by any means at all. This was where it burst. There's like a little gap in the seams down here. There it is there. So you can see it. There we go. See that gap? That opened up. Very, very disappointing. So maybe the glue's failed. Who knows? So I'm going to try and put a little bit of glue into there. Clamp it shut with a little homemade peg. Fingers crossed, by the time we come to sleep, it should be airtight again. Okay, so it's got a wee bit chilly here, so I'll put my jacket on here. I'll just sit down next to the tent right now and get this sealed up and stick it back in. So within the airbed's bag, these little flip out pouches here contain a little repair kit with glue and patches and a little instruction manual. So I've read through the instruction manual. Nothing covers a seam break, so I'm guessing they are pretty confident their seams are not going to break. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue and clamp it. Obviously I didn't have any kind of clamp with me, I'm not quite that well prepared. So what I've done is I've just carved one of the little shards of wood, came off of my carving earlier. You can see there where I have split it. So that's got a little split in it. So I use a little stick to wedge the clamp open, put the seal in and then pull it out, and then that should be able to tie that shut. It's quite small, but it's obviously big enough to let air in. Oh, and there's another little small one next to it as well. It's opening up. Not good. Okay, I'm going to try not to get any of this on my fingers. Open up a little clamp nice and wide and slide it on. Okay, and that's clamped. Seems like a little clothes peg. And that might be enough to hold it there, but I'll put a little bit of paracord on it as well and that'll help secure it. Okay, I'm going to tie a little constrictor knot here. Make an S, slide the loops over each other and back over. And there is a little constrictor knot, so that no matter how hard that gets pulled, it should clamp even harder. So there, hopefully that little repair should work and I'll be sleeping in that tonight. Stick it back in the tent for now. So we'll leave that to dry. Hopefully that should be okay in a little while. I mean, it says 5 to 10 minutes for it to go touch dry, so I'm guessing after a couple of hours it should be good to go. I mean, they wouldn't give you a repair kit that you couldn't use out when you're actually using it. You know, you imagine if this was at Everest Base Camp and something like this happened, you need to fix it pretty quickly. So yeah, Exped Down mats. Are they worth the money? Not so sure. Not sure as I was anyway. Just before we go back to camp, I will show you the view I have from my tent. Not too shabby, yeah? Let's get back to camp. So the both of us are having a hard time remembering to film because we're just having such a great time out here. It's beautiful. I mean, look at that vista behind me. It's just a network of little islands and peninsulas that barely anybody ever sets foot on. Beautiful mixed woodland, really interesting tree species. There's even an osprey nest up in those trees behind us, those pines. Absolutely stunning. So we're out having a wee bit of fishing, got a beer, and I've just stopped on this little island here. The guys are out doing a bit of fishing over there. I just wanted to get my feet on dry land, maybe somewhere where people haven't stepped foot for a long time, because it's very difficult to take a boat here, but I've got the canoe, so I managed to come in here. And we'll stick a rod in the water and see if we can't get anything.
Well, we're not having much luck with the fishing, but we are seeing plenty of wildlife, such as that osprey that's flying above us. That's the osprey I was talking about earlier. See it up there? Just, you know, checking us out.
Hi everybody, so obviously our little fishing trip is over since it's pitch black. We didn't get anything. I think the conditions were against us a little bit, but we had a great time. Fantastic scenery around here. But you find us now back at camp. We have got dinner on the go. We've got a load of firewood set out, so we should be fairly comfortable for the rest of the night. I've got a massive pork joint. Oh, what's happening? Bug?
Yeah.
Where?
Did you not see that? You had a giant daddy long legs on your chest.
No, I never saw nothing. No.
Anyway.
That's nature, folks. Anyway, okay, right, back to what we're supposed to be talking about. Okay, so we've got massive leg of pork in Dutch oven. It's filling up the entire Dutch oven. It's not a big Dutch oven, but that's enough meat for all of us. That's going to be. It's a very cute little Dutch oven, and it's now going to be very, very well done, very fast because of that heat.
I'm sick of it, you know. There's a little Dutch oven.
It's nice. I like it. It's just
that's a little head torch.
It's smaller than I was expecting. That's all. Okay, it's not that I don't like it. It's just smaller than I was expecting. So yeah, so that we're just waiting for that to cook. So well, maybe just over, maybe under an hour to then we check it. So I'm just finishing off my little Kuksa that I started earlier, and it's looking quite nice.
Looks a little bit small.
It was smaller than you were expecting. It's still nice though, right?
Smaller than I was expecting.
So it's looking quite good. I've did most of the cutting and hollowing out, shaping of the handle. I've just got to go over it with maybe once with my finishing knife, my little turning sloy, just to make sure it's absolutely spot on, and then I'll burnish it and I will put some oil on it. Now actually I've got paste wax with me today, so some walnut oil and beeswax paste wax, so that'll go look really nice. Hopefully it'll bring out the grain. So yeah, I'm going to open some beers and we're going to do a wee bit of carving and a bit of chit chat, maybe get the guitars out, and hopefully we'll have a nice wee night ahead of us. That's really hot, yeah. Maybe we should lift it up slightly. This is good. You guys are all invested. You guys are all invested in my dinner tonight, so it's quite good. It means I can sort of take it a little bit easier and do a bit of carving.
So hot that it's...
Yeah, that fire is yeah. I feel like if we move the tripod a little bit away. That's still providing a massive amount of heat to that.
Big daddy long leg or big beetle.
That was a gigantic daddy. Like, watch that footage back and you'll see.
I had like 4 or 5 of them in my bloody tent last night.
Honestly, it was like that big.
What?
Like on your chest.
How did I not notice that?
Monster thing. It'll be on the camera, like, as long as you got your chest in.
It's actually giving you a really natural, nice light on the fire when you're carving there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm just looking at there. Look at that, how good that looks. Weird, see when you get a really sharp knife on dry wood, it almost leaves it like ceramic finish.
A knife's a bit little, isn't it?
Just because it's little doesn't mean it's not special. Yeah, I have to admit, it is a little Dutch oven. It's a very small Dutch oven.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean it's not good. Well, hello there, smoky camera people. So, second part of tonight's dinner, other than the pork, is something that's been getting a lot of attention recently online, and it's Potatoe Gallette, which is basically just a fancy French hash brown. But I thought I was being very innovative here by bringing a very flat, portable grater, and instead of bringing cheesecloth, I've used one of these gathering bags, you know, those sort of plastic vegetable bags that you get from the supermarket, as a means of squeezing the water out and drying a potato before you put it in the frying pan. So I was quite pleased with myself thinking about that. Or am I just havering, guys?
No man, the more you get out of it, the crisper it's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing.
So that, plus lots
outside the box, that's what
lots of cheese and butter and some herbs, will be laughing. Oh, and these bags are pretty strong, so you can give it a good twist. Midnight snack.
To be fair, we had lunch at like 6 o'clock, didn't we? So.
Oh man, that's good. That's pretty much limiting my strength now.
Oh, you're a tank.
Right, tripod. We have to rake out some
So that's to see if
embers.
there's any tunes coming, you know.
I think there's a few in there. Jesus. Crikeys. Fire's trying to kill me.
You are very, very close.
I am,
Like
yeah.
extremely big fire.
I was getting cold and then I was like, it was fine before I put all these logs on.
Ground control to Major Tom.
I'm going to have to slightly destroy
Ground
it.
control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
Kind of happy just getting my legs.
Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You really made the grade. And the paper want to know, should you wear?
This is a ground control to Major Tom.
Bloody raining again.
You really made the grade.
If you love me, you love me, you will find me. Oh, sorry.
So 1/2 of the shredded potato in to form the base, and I'm going to season that and spread it out. Man, that soaked up that like butter almost instantly. Try and keep it relatively neat and tidy, because I want it to fuse into a sort of cake.
See, if it was my birthday
Pastry.
and you made me a cake like that, I'd be sad.
Would you? I made you a cake.
Bit of pepper.
Yeah.
Very gentle with the pepper. Pepper on there. Parmigiano Reggiano. Pre-grated. And if I'm very lucky and remember what I put in this when I did actually fill it up, a little pinch of dill in there.
Very fancy, very French.
Dill's amazing with salmon and most fish, to be honest. Good, grand. Add the rest of the potato.
Potato, isn't it?
Yeah, this it wasn't really half the first time, was it? Hopefully I've not overdone it with the potato. There's a full packet of...
I'm like, do you flip this or do you get another frying pan and like
Yeah,
switcheroo?
well, that is the thing.
I feel like another frying pan and switcheroo is the way. Like that one.
Maybe I'll cut it into quarters and then I'll flip it.
I think that'd be wise.
You know what?
Definitely needs to be flipped though. It also needs to be turned around evenly. Grand. It's just lovely, mate.
Why are you sorry, man? Like, in this company, I think that's acceptable. Sorry,
Because you're not
everybody
filming,
online.
that's how I feel bad about it. Like, you're
Well,
filming and I'm just fucking about playing
They
like,
can work on it, you know.
if your dad doesn't have a beard, you got two mums. Be this smart. If your dad doesn't have a beard, you got two mums. To be this smart.
Dark.
Pork. Even still stuck this time. That does look good. Smells damn good.
I can't figure out how that fitted in there because, like,
I
as soon as you lifted
jammed it. I just like.
Yeah, but look at it. It's like
It's huge.
Yeah.
Just packing it.
I kind of tempted you just to like cut it up in the pan
yeah,
rather than just dirty all this. What do you think?
yeah.
That can be sharpened. Oh, that's. Oh, yes.
I can
Right.
sharpen.
Oh man.
I can
Get in here,
sharpen my
get in here,
Dutch
Skye.
What is that bit for me?
Bits for you.
Oh, my hand's burning. Jesus Christ, that fire's hot.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, I was born ready.
Delicious, man.
Look at that.
Look at that.
I'm gonna have to zoom in on that because that's just too good to miss.
Right, what happened to my wooden knife?
Look at that, lads.
That looks tasty.
Yeah, another big. This is a big. This is a lot of food, guys.
Oh, we are not going to be hungry.
So essentially, what we have here is a pork belly rib, but I've taken the crackling off.
Can I just eat it? I'm like, I'm waiting here patiently like a boy, but oh my god, I want to eat
I
it.
kind of forgot there was a rib in here, so I'm kind of trying to cut through bone with my knife.
I feel like, as a salute to the pig, I'll eat the bone and all, man.
Oh, right, Colin, present your. Okay, that's you. Definitely this thing. Look at that. Stuck in there. Now for the Potato Gallette.
Again, cut into quarters when there's three of us. This is like how you start fights.
Can't see this. Oh, I know. That is looking extremely good as well. Hopefully it's cooked.
Is that a gratin or something?
Certainly smells good. Look at that bad boy. Colin.
Thank you, sir. Oh, look at that.
Ho 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 ho.
Looks good, eh?
Smells delicious.
I'm not gonna lie, my body is like, yes, carbs.
You know, I was really scared that we'd overdo that pork, but it looks amazing.
I feel like pork is one of the best things to cook out in the woods. Like,
It's
so much
it's
fat
so
in it.
rare that it goes wrong.
Yeah. There's so much fat that you like. You can't really burn it.
And I feel like the flavour in that is so good. Like, well, what did you say about a month marinating?
Yeah, basically a month in the. I mean, it was frozen for a lot of that month. But... Oh my god, that was so close to being a disaster. That was incredible. I lost my cocktail, but
You lost your cup.
the food survived. Jesus.
What even happened?
I
just
stood
kicked
on the
table?
bottom board
Oh,
and it flipped it towards me. What a ditty.
I'm a really big fan of this potato.
Ah, is it good? I still haven't tried it. I'm desperate to try it.
Love it.
Ooh, I see what you mean. Oh, that's nice. Mmm.
I definitely think it deserves a 12 out of 10.
Mmm. Thank you, my man. I'm just glad that nothing went wrong. There's so many opportunities to burn something, or overcook, or undercook. I got mad skills.
It's delicious, man.
I feel like if onions were chicken, this would be like tofu.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
If onions were like chicken, this would be tofu, he's saying, because they're fud.
Well, living up to a reputation of cooking extremely fancy meals
Yeah,
out with
always-
minimal equipment. Who says you have to eat beans out the can?
I think that's the thing, like, just showing people that you don't need to take pot noodles when you go camping.
Mmm. Mmm. I'll come out your sleeping bag.
Saying I love you is not the words I want to hear from you. It's not that I don't want to.
So it's near enough 2:30 in the AM, and I think it's time for bed. We could all stay up, you know, chatting for hours and hours and hours, but I think we need to make a decision now. So I'm going off to bed, lads. Good night, sleep tight. Don't let the the ticks bite or whatever. And I'll see you in the morning.
Yep, don't let the vampires bite.
Too much garlic for that, mate. So one of the things that I'm interested in is whether my sleeping mat has been fixed. But since it's late and there's a lot of flying insects and things around here, I'm not going to wait around to see. I'm just going to get in there. So I'm going to take my boots off and I'll get in there. See you in a minute. So here we are inside the tent. This is obviously a little bit cramped filming conditions. You can see my feet in there. That's because there's nowhere else to go. It's not a very big tent. So this looks fairly well. I can see the glue is dried on the edge here. So maybe it's fine. I don't see any negative side to leaving that peg on tonight because it's going to be at my feet. So I'll just leave it there and it can sort of flop out the way. The test now is going to be, will it hold air? So I'm just going to open up this valve here, and of course the Exped Down mats have got this clever system where you use a dry bag to pump it up, which is very good. It gets away from the issues of condensation and obviously being tired out. Tiring yourself out, I've warmed these up. Headed, just all over there, pack it down, and then fill it with air. So this is going to be extremely difficult to film this because of how cramped it is in here, so bear with me. Oh, look. Not bad, you can see that, right? So far so good. Well, so far so good. I've pumped it up and I am on it and it is holding air. So hopefully I'm going to have a nice sleep tonight. Well, wish me luck. See you in the morning.